Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Today we're going to be talking about the fact that the next season of Black Ops 6 has been delayed because it's not ready to be released, which is crazy in its own right. But we'll also be talking about an AI-generated COD Zombies game that is officially being developed or explored by Activision. It's very weird. And also some leaks and an update from TTZACH himself about the whole 10 stages videos thing. So let's start with the delay to Season 3. This is kind of crazy. I can't really remember any other instances of this ever happening. Maybe it has done and I'm just sort of forgetting a non-Treyarch year or something like that, but certainly most of the time, Call of Duty launches and then seasonal updates release on a very, very aggressively concrete cadence. And for them to be delaying Season 3's start from what would have been its start on, I think, the 20th of March to now being on the 3rd of April is a bit of a surprise. I really did not see this coming. And I've heard from various leakers and other sources that it comes down to the fact that it just isn't ready right now. I think that the dev teams are scrambling to try and make sure that Verdansk is actually polished and ready to go on launch. And it makes sense that they would give it more time in the oven. And honestly, I applaud them giving it more time in the oven instead of releasing it in a broken state. That would be awful. And so this isn't something that I'm going to sort of sit here and be like, this is dreadful. It's just maybe emblematic of the fact that from a management perspective, there are some problems with the way that they're laying out this development roadmap and timeline for the development teams because they can't keep up with how aggressive it is. Like, the devs are working to the bone. They are absolutely sinking everything that they have into trying to keep this game moving and keep the updates flowing. But at the end of the day, they're human, and I feel like the executive level is just sort of trying to get more and more and more out of them, but ultimately that's going to be impossible at a point, and I think that point has been reached. So I really hope that what this means is that the devs aren't just going to be crunching for an extra 2 weeks before getting 5 minutes of respite before then having to crunch on the next thing. Like, if this delay just means that there's more crunch here and then they're technically behind on the next thing, so they have to crunch more, like, that would be dreadful. So I'm crossing my fingers that Activision is treating its employees across its various development studios with some dignity, but knowing Activision's track record, that sort of remains to be seen. I suppose we will see. Fingers crossed, though, it's not too bad for the devs. And I think this tweet from Modern Warzone pretty much sums it up perfectly from my perspective too. I'd rather it be delayed than completely broken at launch, 100%, but still feels bad, man. And yeah, I mean, I agree. And Swag, meanwhile, is having a rough time. Now, I think the thing that is the main question for all of us, right, watching this video is, what does this mean for zombies, right? When are we getting more zombies stuff? And with Season 2, I tweeted out a poll saying, when do you think the next zombies map is going to be? And nobody guessed, and nobody got it right. Nobody guessed that it would be coming in January. There were like 0 votes for that pretty much. And this time around, these are the poll results, and they're very heavily weighted towards the start of Season 3, which is when Verdansk is coming out as well. And you've even got people like Reality UK, who has a bunch of inside info from the game code and things like that, who's also saying start of Season 3, which I sort of struggle to believe because that's such an insanely aggressive development cadence. And for them to be releasing a zombies map alongside Verdansk surely means that the zombies map is just going to be playing second fiddle to everything that Verdansk is getting in terms of marketing support and hype building and trailers and stuff like that. And wouldn't that then make sense to just say, okay, we'll just push it back 1 month so that it can release in season and it can have some breathing room? Like, wouldn't that be better? I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, if it's a sooner release, I think I prefer that, but I also don't really want to be in a scenario where we get a fully fledged zombies map, but it doesn't get the time of day to really kind of have a proper marketing cycle around it, right? And I kind of fear that might be what is about to happen because of Verdansk, but we'll see. I mean, more zombies would be great because the game is, I would say, a little stale right now, which is why I've been doing things like playing so much Destiny, going on so many side quests. I just bought Homer's The Odyssey. I got the Emily Wilson translation. I'm going to be reading this over the next couple of months. I'm really excited to get into that, actually. And I thought about doing some kind of like book clubby type thing where we could all read it together, but I know you guys don't read, so sorry, but am I wrong? I'll just keep all my other fun hobbies off to the side, and we'll just pretend that the only thing that I'm interested in is zombies for the purpose of these videos, yeah? Suffice to say, maybe we're getting a new map in about a month's time on the 3rd of April. Maybe. I would like to have a new map sometime soon, so fingers crossed. Next, this one's a little old, but I just did want to call it out because it is positive, and I didn't make a news video on it at the time because it was too small for an isolated standalone video, but positive things warrant positive feedback and positive kind of commentary from me, right? And so I don't want to let it slip through the cracks here. An opportunity to give Treyarch a thumbs up is one that I'll gladly take. So on Liberty Falls, in the patch that came out at this point just about a week ago, they re-enabled the ability to open the East Main Street door by from on top of the Yummy Freeze roof. And I think this is great because they got rid of this and people responded to it and they were like, this was hurting literally nobody. This was only fun. There wasn't anything about this that was harming the integrity of the game experience. It wasn't undermining the design from the devs. It was just a fun alternate route, alternate strat that you could do. And it sort of felt like you were breaking in a quite fun way. And they got rid of it, and so everyone was a bit sour about that. But the fact that they've brought it back now is, again, just showcasing the fact that they are still trying, at least, to stick to their mantra of not just blindly nerfing fun, and instead actually being pro-fun, which is good. And that's a change that they started to kind of implement beginning in mid-January this year. So I wanted to give them props for that. There are a few things that are in the sort of patch notes department that are still a little problematic. Number one, it's been what feels like a full month. I think it actually maybe has been a full month since they broke a lot of the stats in the game. So a lot of people's stats just got sort of removed. Like random games would be missing, your leaderboard position would be wrong, you'd have missing games, like just all sorts of stuff. And I don't think they've commented on it still. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I've been playing a lot of Destiny recently, so I might have not seen something if it did get commented on. But so far, I feel like that is still a problem. Like I'm still getting tweets about it, which tells me that people still think it's a problem, which tells me that it is fairly likely that it is still a problem, right? So just flagging for Treyarch's visibility, that does seem to be an issue still. Maybe they tried to fix it, but the fix didn't actually work for some people. That might be why I'm still hearing about it. Next, let's talk about Activision's AI game. This is really wild. And it's actually more wild, and we've got quite a lot to get through here, but just before we begin, it's more wild because the Activision AI controversy has spawned into a few different areas, right? You've got the voice actors stuff, which I've made a pretty comprehensive video on, which I'll link down below in the description or something. There's also the issue with AI-generated graphics, assets, materials, calling cards, emblems, loading screens, etc. in the game. So there's sort of two separate sides of the AI issue with Call of Duty right now. But specifically on the voice actors front, now that I've just dabbled in Destiny for a few weeks, I've learned something that is an interesting difference in approach to the AI problem. So we know, if you've watched my explanation video about the strike that's going on and the reason why voice actors are being recast in Black Ops 6, including Samantha Maxis herself, we know that what's happened there is SAG is striking, Black Ops 6 is not a struck work, but certain individual actors do not feel like they can continue to participate in the development of the game and have their work used in the game, while Activision is not signing an interim agreement with SAG, right? We've established this. But what's interesting is that COD's approach has been to say, okay, totally fine, we will recast you, right? And they've done that with Samantha famously, and that's the same Samantha, Julie Nathanson, the voice of Samantha, that we've had for donkey's years. Like, it's been a long time that she has been in control of that role. But in Destiny's case, they're going about it a little differently. So Bungie are basically saying, because of the strike, and I don't know if Destiny 2 is a struck work or not, I'm not sure, but because of the strike and because of their voice actors' wishes, instead of recasting those characters in future updates where they would need voice lines, they're actually just going to have silent characters. So the character will still be speaking, but it will just be subtitles, or it will be something along those lines. So they're essentially saying, you are still the voice of this character. There is nobody that could step in to fill that voice to be the character other than you, even though you won't give us your voice right now because of the ongoing strike and the ongoing negotiations, right? But they're honoring the fact that they're still the character. They still embody the character, and they're saying, in that case, if you won't give us your voice, the character will just be voiceless for the time being, which I think is such an interesting difference in approach. I actually don't categorically think that one is necessarily better than the other, specifically because in Black Ops 6 so far, it's the AI version of Samantha that has been recast. And to my knowledge, no other actor, actress, etc. has been recast for this reason. Maybe actually Zeke Alton, but that was earlier. That was like before the game came out. So I actually don't know what the sort of terms were of his recast. I'm actually not sure. But looking at it through the lens of Julie, it's AI Samantha. And so to have a different actor playing AI Samantha doesn't necessarily undermine Samantha Maxis, the human, being played by Julie. Like, if things get resolved, I am praying that Julie can come back to play human Samantha, and that would be just fine. And honestly, it kind of fits. So I think that they've been actually quite smart with the awkward position that they've been put in at the dev studio. I'm not talking about the execs. The execs just need to sign the goddamn deal with SAG, right? But the devs themselves that are needing to implement this policy of their higher-ups, I think they've done as best they can to try and do it in a graceful way where Julie can still come back to the role in the future, just like in Destiny, how they're making sure that those voice actors can come back to those roles in the future. It's just a slightly different way around. So I thought that was quite an interesting little observation from the Destiny community that you guys might find helpful as comparison in shaping your opinion of how Activision and Treyarch are approaching this versus some other studios. But for now, let's talk about some other AI stuff that's much more egregious. So Activision is using AI-generated adverts to garner interest for this supposed new zombies mobile game. So there's this new official Call of Duty Instagram ad, and this has been posted on official channels, like the Activision channel is posting stuff like this. And it says, "Defend, survive, conquer, Call of Duty zombie style." Then when you click on it, it brings you to a Geek Lab page, and Geek Lab is a company that creates fake mobile game pages so devs can see how users would engage with their work. So they've titled it Call of Duty Zombie Defender. It's so funny to me, they're not even calling it zombies. It's Zombie Defender. Am I defending a zombie? Like, the description is as follows. It's a top-down tactical mobile defense game where players build defenses and fight off waves of zombies in an iconic post-apocalyptic world. Control a squad of unique survivors with specialized skills, from medics to heavy weapons experts. Set up defenses around your base to fend off increasingly difficult zombie waves. Battle through varied locations like ruined cities, military bases, and forests, each with unique challenges and strategic opportunities. Upgrade and equip your survivors with new weapons and gear to adapt to tougher zombie hordes. There is one event listed on the page called Tides of Terror, which says fight the zombie hordes in the sun and sand in this limited time event. And then when you press the install button, it leads you to a survey, which asks you to basically give them a bunch of data that they can use as part of informing their development pipeline. This is what the ad looks like. I mean, it's the most obvious AI slop I've ever seen, potentially. Like, there's just all the hallmarks of AI here. And it's so funny how AI's got so much better in the last couple of years, and it still just has this look that just doesn't look good. Like, you'd really think that we'd have got to a point now, at least with all the progress, where stuff would at least look aesthetic in some capacity. It just all looks the same. Bro, the thing that I think is weird about this is it really reminds me of, do you remember when people were doing, what was it called? It was like a deep sleep or something like that. Sleep Mind or something, like almost 10 years ago now. And it would be like a cat that would have like faces inside it that were all like swirly. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's got the same sort of look to it. I think it's because of the diffusion model that's being used here. But it's just like, nice door, bro. Where does that door go? You want to just explain to me where that door goes? It's just so bad. There's another page here as well. Scavenge supplies, stop the invasion, recruit survivors. Like, okay, cool. So it's just the AI-generated Activision slop, literally to gauge interest in actually spending money on slop in the future. It's very weird. It's very, very strange. I, on the one hand, understand that they want to do market research, right? And they want to sort of make sure that they're appealing to Zombies fans and what Zombies fans actually want. But this is such a massive miss. Like, it's such a big miss that it almost makes me more worried about their decision-making process. Like, if they're going to companies like Geek Lab and generating this kind of slop and then actually making decisions based on it, that's terrible. That is so bad, because, like, who are the people that are going to interact with posts like this? It's going to be like 9-year-olds. right? And then it's going to be, I don't know, people who I don't want having any kind of creative decision-making power or input into what zombie games get made in the future, because if they like this, we're doomed. So yeah, I fear for the direction that this company is going in when they keep doing things like this. I fear for the mode that we all know and love, or loved, maybe past tense at this point. They're certainly doing a lot of stuff that's making it more difficult to continue to be a fan. But I mean, I can't believe that this is sort of the route that they're taking here. It's really just, it's just dreadful. But I would like some dedicated Call of Duty Zombies games. So like, I don't want to get the message twisted here. Activision, if you're listening, I want more Zombies content, just not like this, please. Now we've got some more leaks from Margwa, and I got to give a shout out to Margwa. Margwa's been putting in the work recently. I mean, like, these posts are getting longer and longer. But Margwa's been talking about some Reality UK leaks for Double Tap, Tombstone, a perk that starts with a W, and a perk that starts with a Z. And then Mule Kick also as a maybe. Reality, as the source here, has basically confirmed Double Tap to everybody. And there's a logo for it as well. And I can't show you the logo because technically, I guess it is a leak. And I'm worried that Activision is going to be like, oh, yeah, it's that Milo guy. We don't like him. Let's get him out of here and copyright strike my video or something. But Awesome Zombie Fac has posted this, saying that the new Double Tap icon isn't even new. It comes straight from Cold War Free-for-All, which was a pretty interesting observation. So this logo that you're seeing in Cold War Free-for-All is basically the new Double Tap logo. They've kind of gotten rid of the old one, and they've also said here, like, here's reference for the old logo if you guys wanted to see what that looked like back in the good old days of Call of Duty World at War. Now, the fact that Double Tap is seemingly returning is something that I'm not sure I necessarily like, which is going to sound crazy, but hear me out. The fact that it is coming back now, this late into the game, makes me worry that all of the prior content that was released up to this point is going to become incredibly easy because we're suddenly going to be able to double our damage, right? Like our DPS. Maybe Treyarch will have figured out a smart way around that, but then if they have done, that sort of means that they're going to be kneecapping the perk. Like, we want Double Tap because we want more damage, right? That's why people have been asking for it since launch. And if they're like, okay, well, we've balanced the game for not having Double Tap in it, but now we're going to add Double Tap, which just objectively does let you do more damage, either they're going to have to nerf the perk so that it doesn't give you so much more damage that the other content becomes obsolete, or they're going to have to change the other content just to now match Double Tap, which maybe defeats the purpose, right? So I'm very curious. I'm just very curious to see how they approach this. But I'm hesitant, let's say. Maybe let's not say I don't like it. I'm ambidextrous right now. That's not the right word. I'm agnostic right now. Still not the right word. I'm ambivalent right now. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll be waiting with bated breath to see what they do with Double Tap. Tombstone, I don't think should be in the game, to be completely honest with you. And then a perk that starts with W and a perk that starts with Z. Maybe leave your guesses in the comments down below. Now, we also have a quick update on this. So I mentioned a little while ago this issue that Ricky brought to my attention, that Vanguard had lost the clan system in the game, and so that was preventing people from 100%ing it. Like, they couldn't get all achievements. And I mentioned it in a video, and the good news is Activision has now fixed it. So thank you, Treyarch / Sledgehammer / whoever the team was that actually implemented this. I appreciate you guys paying some attention there to the bug report and getting that fixed. That's great stuff. And next, as I mentioned at the beginning, we have an update from TTZACH about the 10 stages video, right? So TTZACH reached out to me based on the fact that I DM'd him. He responded to my DM and he said, TLDR, no hard feelings, first of all. Second of all, people are now coming at him for plagiarism, which is just insane. Like, it's really frustrated me, to be honest, this whole situation, because it's basically people yapping on the internet that don't know what they're talking about, right? And people yapping on Zach's behalf as well, when Zach literally doesn't have a problem with anything that's going on here. So they're white knighting for Zach without his desire for them to do so, about stuff that they don't have any idea what they're talking about. They're then mob mentalitying their way into sort of trying to drum it up as a bigger story. They're then like coming into I was doing a sponsored Apex stream, right? I was literally locked in on Apex, and they're coming to the chat, ruining the vibes in the chat with their complete nonsense that they've just completely fabricated in their own heads. And Zach still doesn't want anything to do with any drama here. He doesn't have any issue with anything that I've done. And now people are accusing him of plagiarism just because I defended my, like, it's a dreadful time to be a participant in the Call of Duty Zombies community. If this is where we're at, it's dreadful. It is absolutely horrendous to be here, to be completely honest with you. And it's a real shame because honestly, like 99% of you guys watching this video are like totally wonderful, awesome people. It's just that there's this 1% of people that don't go outside who are so intent on absolutely projecting their delusional opinions on everybody else around them. And it really is demoralizing, like massively so. To the point that I'm like, and I'm not going to do this, but like to the point that I'm like, I don't even want to make another zombies video for like 6 months. I just want to like go do Destiny stuff, bring my creative efforts elsewhere, and just like let that little 1% of the community just rot because they're just awful. And it's ironic as well because if I didn't care, if I didn't give a damn about any of this, it would be so much easier. But it does matter to me because I am proud of the very hard work that I do to make all the content that I make for you guys. I'm also really proud of my team. And when people are taking shots at people on my team, I'm obviously going to defend my team. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah. No, not for a second, right? Like, Joey Conway, I will live and die by the sword of defending that man. And at the end of the day, like, it's insufferable. It's insufferable, and it's so draining that people are like, just this thick, to be completely honest. And like, it's more painful because of the fact that after I made the video explaining what was going on, and again, 99% of you guys were like, A, I didn't even know this was happening because I touch grass. Like, that's the majority of you. And B, like, this seems really stupid. Why the hell were people like making such a big fuss of this in the first place? But there's still that 1% out there that are just like digging their heels, and it's just like, nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares. Everybody else is normal. And you're just being really weird. And will that change? Maybe not, because the zombies community does attract 1% of absolute weirdos. It just does. It always has done. I actually think I was one of those weirdos back in the day. I think that when I joined the zombies community, I had limited social skills. I was a massive nerd that only really played my video games or whatever and grinded my schoolwork and stuff. And so, yeah, I was a bit of a weirdo, I think, but I grew out of it. But there's just a lot of people that haven't done that, and it makes me just not want to be here. It makes me want to be anywhere but here. It's unfortunate. So Zach literally doesn't care about all the stuff that you guys are white knighting over. I said in this video I would share some examples of people who submitted good split faces, but Zach doesn't even want me to change the thumbnail, and none of the split faces that I've seen have been really sort of sharp enough to actually warrant even doing the A/B test. There were a couple of pretty cool ones. There was one with Ravenov on one side, and I forget who the other character was, but Ravenov is just not recognizable enough. And there was another with Samantha, and I'm really sorry, I can't remember the name of the person that found it, and I've basically just like cleansed my mentions because it's just been horrendous over the last week. But that submission, out of all the ones I've seen, has probably been the best one. It was young Samantha on one side, adult Samantha on the other side. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is a pretty cool idea. I respect it a lot. Like, I definitely rate it, but it just wasn't quite thumbnailified enough to actually warrant being A/B tested. So I think I'm just going to leave it here. I'm going to move on from the situation because there is no point me continuing to engage with these weirdos. They will never be appeased. They will never be happy. And that's just the life of being in the spotlight, right? That's just what I have to deal with being a public figure. It's unfortunate, but that's life. So what does this mean for the next couple of days, weeks, and months? Well, it means, number one, please leave Zach alone. First of all, like, absolutely nobody should be sending any hate his way, any negativity his way. Nobody should be calling him a plagiarist. It's just objectively not true. So please, for the love of God, leave that man be. Just leave him be. He was minding his business. Let that continue. Then, separate to that, on my side of things with my content, we will be posting some more Destiny videos this week. I've got a couple of Destiny videos lined up that I'm really excited about. We'll also be posting Black Ops 1 full story movie that I've made with Joe, which we completely plagiarized actually from Call of Duty. Yeah, we plagiarized them. And every video going forward will be plagiarized in some capacity, just so that you guys are aware. So thank you so much for watching. I've been MrRoflWaffles, and I look forward to putting less effort into my videos in the future, because even when I put loads of effort in, it still isn't good enough for all of these rats. Okay, I'm being sarcastic. I fear that some people won't understand the joke there, but it's going to be fine, guys. We're just going to move on now. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.